Welcome in to Bleav in Commanders. Scott Jackson and Anthony Armstrong, part of the Bleav Network. Yeah, we're live. We're doing this a little different because you know why? Do you want to tell a little behind the scenes stuff, Anthony?
You and I know why, and I don't want to be here for this.
You and I taped about 12 hours ago, or I don't know, maybe not 12 hours, 9 hours ago, right?
Not even.
And we're talking about Terry McLaurin when with the timing of when he would need to be, back in active in camp and these kind of important things. And then, of course, Bam, here in the last hour of the news that he has requested a trade from the Commanders. So here we are. I don't know how we got here, but we're here. And as you might suspect, I don't know how much time you spent on the social medias here or heard from friends, but man, all my friends, family reaction and social media reactions have not been very positive, let's just say, towards the franchise for being in this spot right now where they're, number one receiver and really the guy they can't replace between now and week one, it doesn't appear, is saying, get me out of here, please.
Man, I tell you, when you look at just the odds to win the division over at FanDuel, I mean, win the NFC Championship, they're plus 1,000. No Terry McLaurin, throw that out of the window. Like, that's not happening if you don't have your number one guy, and you don't get a number one guy just laying around on the streets right now. You know what I mean? Like, I was just on the grill making burgers and chicken and vegetables. I'm not finna show up. Like, I'm not showing up to camp. I'm not in camp shape. So you got to get somebody else. You got to sign Terry. I had to change my sign to expletive. Golly.
You look despondent. I mean, Anthony, we pulled him off the grill to talk about this. This is how bummed out he is. Now, like, I get it. The initial reaction, and when I see it, and then it comes across your phone after that. I was actually on the radio finishing up my show. I'm like 20 minutes. I'm in cruise control. I'm like, yeah, man, I'm out of here. We got a few canned things we're going to talk about. And then bam, Terry McLaurin asks for trade, like, or demands trade, one of the headlines, right? I'm like, oh my God, it's like somebody just hit you in the stomach. And then it dawned on me, all right, why does this sound familiar to me? Somebody demanding a trade. And I go, oh yeah, last offseason, Brandon Ayuk, San Francisco demanded a trade. Let's see. Let's go down the list here. Oh, I remember in March, around Super Bowl week, Myles Garrett demanded a trade. Will never play in Cleveland again. Myles Garrett, of course, is in Cleveland. So look, green stuff makes people do a lot of, like change your mind. The green stuff, right? Will make you change your mind, Anthony. So there is that. I mean, these aren't the only examples. I mean, heck, Deebo Samuel, I'm pretty sure, asked to be traded a few times and stayed in San Francisco, right? Yeah. So it doesn't always end in a divorce because it takes two to tango. I mean, I just saw a report earlier today that the Commanders had been getting calls this offseason about Terry McLaurin, and they've told everybody, no, they're not interested in trading him. Now, because it's public and is this late going towards the season, does that change anything? I don't know if it does for the team.
I think there's still people. I remember when I was in Miami, I remember walking in the player personnel office, GM office, floor to ceiling dry erase board, Scott, had names of players on every other team who they had in mind if they were to come available. Okay. Right. Terry McLaurin is one of those guys, in my opinion. I just saw the Madden rankings earlier this year, 94 overall, one of the top 10 receivers in the league on the game. Somebody could use Terry McLaurin. Somebody could add him to the roster. And the way things go now, I mean, I don't know. I don't even want to talk about.
Are you willing? Could be. And I guess this is the bigger question: are the Commanders willing, as an organization? I mean, they have led the league in goodwill since last year. In the middle of last year, they've led the league in goodwill, right? Like people just throwing the flowers at them. Oh, this is the worst organization ever, and then they got rid of that evil, horrible owner, and now look what's happening with Jaden Daniels. Yada yada yada. I get it. I've talked about it a ton too. It is amazing the reversal of fortune, but all that goodwill. If you trade him before this season starts, a season where, like you just said, they were in the conversation, whether you think it's right or wrong to be an NFC championship caliber team, I don't know how you get there by trading him for picks, right? Because that's probably what it's going to be. It's not going to be like a top receiver for top receiver trade. Like they're not going to say, hey, Cincinnati wants him, but they're going to send you back T. Higgins or something, and they're obviously not sending you Jamar Chase. Let's not be crazy. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's not going to be something like that, right? I mean, so then you're going to have to get on the streets and, Amari Cooper, what's going on, Amari? You interested in playing football this year? That kind of stuff, right?
Yeah. The other options aren't great. Now, I mean, I will say, good thing is that there have been some other names that have been popping in camp, right? There's some other guys that have been making some plays, but still, you don't necessarily expect that to replace your number one guy. You get what I'm saying? Like,
100%.
it's a great story.
That's why I always said, hey, whether we think he's worth 30 million, 25 or 20 or whatever the range is you think he's worth, the real bottom line is like, what even, for the Commanders, maybe he's a higher price here because they don't have a replacement for him, right? Maybe he wouldn't fetch as much elsewhere as he would here, you would think, but that's not apparently the way that they're moving forward here, at least in Terry's camp's mind, because they have not been able to come to a number they agree on.
Yeah, but I think, you know what, though, like, he's come back to camp, goodwill, fan appreciation, first day fans can be out there. Maybe he was trying to get a little bit more progress, but now he has to put his pedal to the metal. He has to bring a little bit more force to this negotiation to say, hey, look, you don't want to sign me? Then fine, that's cool. Yep. Trade me, Now, does he really want that to happen? I don't know. I've never spoken. I've spoken to Terry McLaurin one time. And that interaction last year was real quick. It has nothing to do with right now. So does he really want to leave? I don't know. I wouldn't think so because I just know that it's a process to leave. And then it's a process to move and then go learn a new playbook and try to fit right in. That's not easy to do. But do I know that he deserves his money? I do. I do know that he deserves to get paid. And I'm going to continue to hold the positive front and say that something's going to happen on the good front and the good side of things with this. Hopefully well before week 1. 6.5 point lead, is favorites. That has a shrink, now if Terry McLaurin's not there. So, make your bets now. But who knows?
Your FanDuel app right now.
Yeah, right. I don't know. You might as well do it.
Yeah, I don't. Listen, I think this is a headline thing. It's going to run through Get Up and all the ESPN car wash shows tomorrow, the debate shows. The Commanders are very unlikely to react publicly about this until the next time and I think tomorrow's an off day actually, which, for the team, I think they're back Saturday. So you're not going to hear anything publicly. Probably they have not been a team to negotiate through the media. I think clearly Terry's agent is now talking to a lot of these insiders because this news is getting out there. So I don't think it's something that we're going to hear like a quick reaction to, unless it's just sources say no, they're not doing it. You know what I mean? I don't think even if they were thinking about it or looking down that road, that's something they were going to air out and let people know about. So that all being said, I think it's a bummer to see it, but I don't think it means it's going to happen or this relationship is unsalvageable. I just don't believe that until he's on another team. I'm not going to believe it. And there's still an opportunity here to get a deal done. We haven't even played a preseason game. We still have 5 weeks till kickoff around there. I think this is still something that can be worked out, but it does give you a behind the scenes look at how far behind or how far away, the two sides clearly are, at least from McLaurin's camp's feeling is right now.
Yeah. You don't know what to believe, but the only thing you can believe are the actions, right? The actions of Terry McLaurin and his camp saying, hey, you know what? Trade us, trade me, send me somewhere else. And somebody's phone got to be ringing. There's a couple of teams that are out there that have to be thinking like, hey, you know what? We could add a player like this, player his caliber, and bring him in. Now, they're going to have to go with the whole re-sign immediately thing. Maybe they're probably going to have that conversation to say, hey, we're willing to do that down the line. Off the top of my head, I can't think of a team. That's because I don't want to have to think of a team that would be making that phone call right now, because I would like to think this is not something that Adam Peters and Dan Quinn and crew want to do.
Right.
Because frankly, if you do that and you got to walk in the building, you got to explain that. I mean, yes, the team is going to move on. Everybody's going to be fine moving forward. I'm a Mavs fan. All right. We had to deal with the trade that happened last year. So hopefully it doesn't go through that. Hopefully that doesn't happen. But team has moved forward. You still got to find a way to go out there and get W's, but really would like to have 17 on our side when we do that.
We're the Bleav in Commanders podcast with Anthony Armstrong, Scott Jackson here. as we come to you, of course, part of the Bleav Network. We're doing a little live action tonight. Hopefully you've jumped on board. If not, you're seeing this later. Either way, obviously the shocking news that Terry McLaurin has demanded a trade. And why it's shocking, like players say stuff. I went through a list of guys who have asked for trades that weren't traded in the past, but it's because it's this player. Like, we know what this guy is. I mean, he's, man of the year candidate, material every year, good guy off the field, has gone about his business, hard worker, and clearly has said, he's used the words, feeling disrespected, a few weeks ago when he spoke, and still clearly feeling that way. And, it's the timing of this is interesting because today, Anthony, I don't know if you had picked up on this, but this was the first day Josh Harris was at practice in person. So maybe there was a hope or an anticipation from the McLaurin camp that, hey, something could get done today because our owner's here. I don't know. Or maybe they were thinking, that would change the calculus, and it didn't. I don't know. Or it was just maybe a coincidence, but it is, it's unfortunate that they're at this point. But again, I would just, calm people down to just say, let's let this breathe a little bit, because again, there's a lot of players that have had these demands that never got met, when they end up sticking it out and, getting deals done, and everybody's happy.
Yeah, that's facts. I mean, it is a part of the business. It's a part of the game right now. And the things we all know that, I mean, the guy deserves to get paid. He deserves to get paid accordingly. Obviously, the market has been reset, and he's not trying to go and break the bank. He's just trying to get paid what he's due. And every other ranking has him as a top 10 receiver, at least close to it. Let that compensation follow. But what y'all do need to do, if you want to stay up to date with it, make sure you follow and subscribe to this show. Tap into the Bleav Network so y'all can stay on top of it, because whenever something changes, Terry tells me what's happening next. We're going to have a podcast about it.
Exactly. We'll be ready to jump back on. I don't know. It's interesting because, again, this is a good guy. This is a guy with a nice guy. But he's done a couple things this week that are I think, intentional. Number one, when he did end the holdout and started the hold in, it was the day the fans were there. So the fans, are cheering for him all week. He's out there signing autographs, which you'd expect him to do. And then, look, this is a power play move, right? Like, you say, all right, you're not going to pay me, send me somewhere else, trade me, call the team's bluff, see how much they want you, because they've been telling you how much they want you, how much they like you, but clearly you don't feel like they're showing that in what they have been offering or discussing in terms of numbers. So now here we go. And, again, there's been a bunch of stories this offseason about, okay, yeah, people have checked in, but he's had no interest in, no interest at all. They've had no interest at all, in moving him.
Yeah, and I compare again. It's not even comparing receivers at this point. It's comparing it to Baker Mayfield and what he got down in Tampa, where they brought some money up to make it guaranteed this current season, made the next season guaranteed. That way you can make somebody whole, give them the number that they want, and really not be tied to the long-term contract. And the reason I bring up Baker is because both him and Terry came in around 23 years old. They've been in the league 6 and 7 years respectively, and they're both playing at the top of their game right now. I mean, Terry's been balling. Yeah. He's got his best quarterback. So there's a lot of things to say. This guy's going to keep this same trajectory for a little while. Right? You don't see him just falling off out of nowhere. And then Baker Mayfield's playing good ball as well. So maybe it's something more like that. Get creative. Quit looking at what happens with Courtland Sutton. I don't think that's really it's a comparable thing because he plays receiver, but I think Terry means more to this organization than what Sutton means to Denver, and there's no disrespect. But when we look at it, we know what this man is. There's a few storied players that have come through this burgundy and gold. I think Terry McLaurin holds that clout, holds that standard. I think they got to make sure they do right by this and do not let this trade happen.
Well, what will be interesting here is just to kind of see how his teammates react to it, right? Like, because that's real. I mean, you can put on a brave face as the GM and the coach and say all the right things, but you know that these players are going to be asked this question next time the practice, next time they have training camp practice when they're open. They're all going to speak from the heart and what they feel about Terry. But, big picture, I agree with you. I think it is, one of these things where the show must go on. As you played in the league. I mean, you guys get hurt and what things happen, you go on. But, we're at the point now too where it's sensitive for players because they're like, there is, I still think, a level of you have to believe people saying, man, they're doing this to Terry McLaurin. Like, and I'm not Terry, you know what I mean? Like, that's what's tough. That's what's tough, I think, about this to understand from, again, we don't know the figures one way or the other, which is tough. So the Commanders, again, I give them credit for not playing the media game and, hey, this
Yeah.
agent did this, did that, asked this, something,
Yeah.
wrong. But, there's still the human nature part of the players going, wow, man, they're not going to take care of this guy. What does that mean for the rest of us as we move forward here?
Yeah, some of the comments coming in, blaming it on a novice agent or an inept agent. You could try to those may be interchangeable. I don't know.
Right.
Time to pull your head out of your backside and sign him, Adam. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Adam.
I think you're right. I think you're right. Like that is the energy that we need. It's like, come on, let's do right by this guy, man. It's not like it's any other player that's got like a track record of negativity. Right. It's a guy that's doing things the right way. I think you got to sign him. So everybody can get back to eating their dinner and focus on week 1 against the Giants.
Yeah, and look, I don't expect anybody to break ranks really and just trash the franchise for what's going on, right? But I do think when we hear from the teammates about this, as they kind of digest this like the rest of us. I mean, they probably. I mean, I don't know if they had meetings tonight or whatever, but they're this. Everybody's connected to their phones now. This is like an alert, right? It's got to be like, oh man, because you're hoping that this is going to be resolved soon, and then it's really the only thing newsworthy that's been happening at camp. Frankly, I mean, outside of the basic daily position battles, this has been the big news item, and it's a big one. And again, I like go back to the thing I said earlier. All the goodwill and all the, hey, this is the it franchise now, and all the things that they weren't forever, and now you're there. And then this thing has been a dark cloud. There's no doubt. And I don't know who's to blame for it or what have you. I just want it to be resolved, right? And get back. Get back together weekend or whatever they call the NFL this week. And they used to have that get back to football thing. Yeah, they just need to get back to football because the drama. We don't like it. We used to be really good at it. They led the league in drama for a long time, but now like this is new era. We don't want to be part of that kind of stuff. But hey, this is business, and so I understand it from their standpoint. If it's really a crazy number and they like, hey, this is going to set a bad precedent, it's going to hurt us up down the road. Okay, I'm open to listening to that. And then from the player standpoint, I get it too. He's like, man, all these other players around the league getting taken care of, and I'm busting my butt, and I think I'm on that same level. Hook me up.
At some point, I mean, just at some point, like with everything being reset, and he didn't even rush to do it earlier.
Right.
Then I'm sure they had a conversation about, hey, we should probably try to, redo some things, but for whatever reason they didn't, and now it's going to call somebody's bluff with playing chicken in the middle of the street, in the middle of 495, mind you. They're trying to figure out who's going to move first. Who's going to move first?
Well, or in Ashburn terms on Waxpool Road or, Gloucester Parkway or Loudoun County Parkway right there in front of the park.
That's the one.
Yeah, there you go. Loudoun County Parkway. There, thing goes on forever. Look, I would just hope it gets over, but here we are. So we went from holdout, the hold-in episodes. Now we're on trade demand episodes, right? I guess that's where we're the trade demand moment of this. And then hopefully – the next episode will be reconciliation. Maybe it's that. I hope it lasts as long as Myles Garrett trade demand did with the Browns. That thing.
All I know is, Scott, I'm running out of chalk. Okay,
yeah.
I'm gonna run out of chalk. I got Terry McLaurin holding stuff. I'm running out of chalk.
Right.
Sign Terry. Get him signed, please. Come on, Adam. Get him signed.
Yeah. Look, I mean, Adam Peters done a lot of great stuff. I think he's been really. I mean, he was the number one hire when they made it, but this is definitely one of those ones where this is going to test. It's going to test the patience of the fans for sure, and as we've seen, just from some of the reactions, it has not been the greatest. Marcus right now says, if I'm a Washington fan, I let Terry test his value in the trade market. Ooh, that would be interesting because, like you nailed it too. Like I wonder. It's not just a trade he wants. He wants a trade with a new contract.
Yeah.
So if they allow it to open up to find out what teams willing to pay, what are teams willing to pay right out there. And we have seen that in the past where teams will allow, Trey Hendrickson, that was going on for a little bit, right, where he was allowed to test the market and a few of these other guys. And, I think Ayuk got that opportunity a little bit last year, but it never materialized.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's not crazy what Marcus is saying. But
Yeah.
then what if he finds something he really likes and comes back to you?
I just
You don't
the
have to
thing
take
is,
it. I mean, the Commanders don't have to do anything, frankly.
even if you let him test the market, it hinders you as a roster. It does. You don't. There's
Correct.
like there. It's not like you're sitting there with this guy where you're like, man, we really got somebody that could be the dude sitting behind Terry that's getting all the work right now.
I think that's more of a spring thing to do, right? I think that's more of a spring thing. I think once you're in camp, it's pretty hard. The problem is you're not going to be able to replace that player. Yeah, and like what Timothy just said, hey, you could trade Terry and then sign Amari Cooper. And that's really the top guy out there. But, I mean, you know the receiver position better than all of us here talking.
Yeah.
What did you think of Amari Cooper's time in Buffalo last year? I thought it was going to be great, and it really wasn't.
I mean, I think he's what he is, solid receiver. You
Yeah.
know what you're going to get out of him. But I don't think that you don't get that explosive deep play threat that you get out of Terry McLaurin. You don't get that level of competitiveness. I'm not saying that Amari is not competitive, but Terry's special. You know what I'm saying? And if that trade were to go down, you starting the season off of on a sour note, which really needs to be on a high note in week one, but it's part of the business. You know what I mean? And I hate to say that, but I just
look. I think a lot of Jaden Daniels, and I think he could correct a lot of things for them. But a lot of this run up to this year was the expectations of making a championship level run, competing with Philadelphia. I just don't see a way out of this well, now we're going to be in August tomorrow. In August to make it okay. I feel okay about it. If you would have done this prior to the draft and then had a plan going in, how to acquire I don't know if you get anybody Terry's level, but you know what I mean, like another top receiver to add with Debo, that's one thing. But now we're at the stage where that player's not available because we've already gone through all the receivers that have been paid this offseason. I mean, the guys that were in limbo have all been taken care of now at this point. So unless we're missing somebody here, I mean, I don't know. It's kind of, that's the problem. We're at the point now where, the agent and the player know that. That's exactly why they throw the demand out there too.
Yeah, it's like both sides have leverage, but then both sides are also in this weird space where they kind of don't got much leverage. It's like they both need each other.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? Like we both need each other. Washington benefits more from 17.
I like what Marcus says here. I'd rather have more guaranteed money than annual year value. Yeah, me too. I want more guaranteed money too, Marcus. Make that happen.
That's why I think you could just say, look, man, let's bump you up from 15 to 31 this year, do 32 next year, and that's it. And guarantee it all. It's $60-some million, but you get your money that takes them to 32 because they're not gonna let them get past 32 anyways. Yeah. You know how this game goes. They're gonna sign into a 4-year deal and try to cut it off. But you know what I'm saying? So
it's a 3-year deal, it's a 2-year deal, a 4-year deal, it's a 3-year deal, and a 5-year deal is a 4-year.
Bingo.
Yeah. Nobody ever actually rarely gets to the end of it.
Yeah, get a man his money, and then it's over before you even have to pay Jaden. Right? That's the one that I think they're thinking, we want to pay him a grip of money.
Yep.
But I think you almost you're gonna waste a year, maybe 2, if you don't have the guy's top target. You know, and there's no clear indication of who's next right now.
Right.
You know, I mean, young fella Brooks has had a good camp here and there. That would be one hell of a storyline if he went from undrafted and at the bottom of the roster to being the number one guy. Hope he makes it happen. But obviously, I hope Terry McLaurin's going to be in the building too.
All right. Well, we're at the Bleav in Commanders podcast. Scott Jansen, Anthony Armstrong, and part of the Bleav Network. Right now, I got one from Tim here. It says, Scott, and to you and I, should the Commanders trade McLaurin to the Bengals for a 26 first and third rounders and a 27 second and third rounders? The Bengals are not doing that, but hey, what the hell,
if they gonna give all that up, I mean, if you get a good shopping haul, I can deal with it.
Third receiver that they'd have to pay over $20 million. Come on,
I can deal with Tim. I appreciate that comment. If they gonna give it up like that, I guess so. I guess
so. You're right. I mean, they're doing that. Although I'll tell you what, they could keep their third rounder in 27 if they threw in Hendrickson and T. Higgins. That's the deal.
There you go. I mean, now, hey, look.
If we're making crap up, I mean, why not? Let's really make some stuff up.
Yeah, right. Just swap the two disgruntled players.
Yeah, give us.
And
Yeah,
then,
yeah, right.
and then we'll just figure it out from
Henderson
there.
from the
But
floor,
yeah, it'd
but
be
we also
tough.
need T. Higgins. Sorry.
But then you also get Cincinnati in the preseason too. So then Terry would
There
be
you go.
back in a matter of weeks. So
It could be like one of those baseball trades. They could make it the night of the game, and then the players to switch locker rooms, like we're seeing this week with all the Major League Baseball trading. Like players are literally going from one dugout to the next. So
that's
funny.
ridiculous. You can't even talk noise because in 15 minutes you're on the same team. Like, my bad, bro. I didn't mean to. It was in the heat of the moment. Heat of the moment. I'm about to go cry.
Yeah, you go ahead and cry. I'm
going
to go have a beer. I actually already have a beer here, but I'm going to drink it a little bit more of it. But anyway, listen, thanks for checking in, everybody. And hey, listen, it was fun to get back with you. We hadn't seen each other in 7-8 hours, so it was good to get back together. And our first podcast was completely useless, so now we have this one, so I feel a lot better.
That's how it goes, man. But look, we're going to keep this thing rocking. Comment, like, subscribe. I appreciate the comments, everybody that's tuning in right here live with us. Definitely appreciate y'all. Stay tuned, subscribe, and stay tapped in for us.
All right, we'll talk to you all soon. Have a good night.
Peace out.